You're listening to Sorry for Asking.
Sorry for asking. I'm Cole Connor.
And I'm Adam Ramsey. This is where we talk shop, ask questions,
Tell stories and laugh some laughs about being creators.
as well as consumers of adult content. We love watching too.
We certainly do. We also discuss the impact adult films have had on us
On our guests.
and on the LGBTQ community.
So strap on and strap in.
And here we go.
Hello, welcome back to Sorry for Asking.
I'm Cole Connor.
And I'm Adam Ramsey. Hi, Cole.
Hi.
How you doing?
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so different. From
Oh, so different from the last time. It's been a long February.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you all for coming back for episode 2 of our new season 3. We're so happy to be back and doing this. I've missed you even since the last episode.
Yes. It's been too long.
Too
even since
long.
the first one.
Yes, I'm just ready for more. And finally, we are here with the first guest of our new season, this mysterious multi-hyphenate to my left, Mr. Rocky Unleashed. Hi, Rocky. I have so many questions.
Oh, well, please let me have and no need to apologize for asking.
Okay, great. First of all, how you doing?
We're not really
apologizing. Yeah,
I was like, sorry, not sorry for asking.
sorry, not sorry.
Oh, okay.
But like sometimes sorry. You know, you'll know. You'll know when it's.
I'll be like,
Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's none of our business.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And that's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. How you doing today?
that is none of your business. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank
How
you
are
so much
guys
for joining
doing?
us. Doing great. Yeah, 2024 has been off to a good start, I would say.
Yeah.
How about you, Cole?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. I feel on top of my shit. I feel like I'm feeling energized. We're past that like holiday funk of January. Like January felt really long to me.
It
I don't
felt
know.
so long.
Yeah, I don't know if it did to you.
I don't know.
No.
Everything feels like everything. It feels like long, and then also it goes by
Yeah.
so quickly.
Well,
Like, I
it's-
think time is just sort of stacked on top of itself now. I don't really feel it linearly anymore.
Yes, time is a construct anyway, right?
Yeah. What
We're
is
just
long?
right.
I feel like when it feels like time is moving slow, I'm like, thank God I can like catch up. If it's going by fast, I'm like, shit, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like February is going to feel shorter than even with a leap year, even with a leap day. I feel like February is going to feel shorter than January did. And then before we know it, it's going to be March. And
Are you making that prediction right now?
Yes.
Like we'll come back at the end of February and be like, so?
well, technically, this episode is airing at the end of February.
Oh.
So enjoy your leap day tomorrow,
Well,
everybody.
then February went by really fast.
really,
for me because
really
it's already-
fast. It's over. It's already over.
Wow.
Cool. Well, Rocky, I've known you for, I want to say, like 9 years. I can't remember when or where we met, but I want to say it was in San Francisco.
I remember
when
the
we
first
both
time
lived
I
there.
saw you.
I love these stories.
We did technically meet, but I believe I was whisked out that night with our friend Colin, and we were in the Castro, and I believe you were bartending at, was it Moby Dick?
Midnight Sun.
Midnight Sun, yeah. And you're like, it was
Same.
Yeah.
So, very close.
and yeah, you were tending bar. I was introduced to you.
Yeah.
I thought you were hot. I was like, who's that? And you were busy bartending, so I don't know that you really like registered
Right.
me as a person.
Right. Not yet.
Not yet, at least. And so I was like, you know what? This is only the beginning. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Cool. Here we are. And like now it took, I think at that point I had just kind of started my adult film journey as well, right before I moved to San Francisco. And I had moved there for a counseling internship. So the bar thing was just kind of like side hustle. But like when you're in San Francisco, they're all side hustles, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess.
Everything's
I guess
a side
everything,
hustle.
same thing in
What isn't
LA.
a side
Yeah,
hustle?
right. But you're fairly new to the adult film
Yeah. When did you start?
era. When did you start? Yeah,
I suppose I started in earnest in August of last year.
August of last year.
2023.
Okay, so that's like only 8 months or
Yeah.
something, 6 months.
I don't even think it's that well. About almost 6 months. Yeah.
I remember being like surprised that I've seen you around for a while, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that we've never talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I didn't really talk to
Yeah.
many people about it before I did.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
it'll be revealed.
Yeah.
As,
And yeah,
as
I
it
feel like
does.
you're at the time of this recording, you were just on the eve of reaching 100,000 followers. I feel like that was really fast.
on Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Twitter, yeah.
I am just on that. I mean, by the end of February, who knows?
Who knows?
where
You might
things are
jump up
gonna
even
be.
more.
Oh my gosh!
You just never know.
I mean, it is a leap year, so we might. Is that what you said?
You have an extra day for business.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes, that's right.
Yeah. I grew from. I think I had about 3K in August.
Yeah.
So from then to now, it's been a nice sort of steady growth trajectory.
How has the journey been for you? Because it feels like it's really like a lot's happened in this short amount of time, which is part of why I wanted to talk to you about it and like where this all kind of came from.
Sure. How has it been?
Sure.
In a word?
In several words, if possible.
Oh, okay. It's been really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had a lot of really cool experiences.
Uh-huh.
And met a lot of interesting people, and I think, you know, part of what got me into it, it's always been something I've been curious to explore, just take more of my sexuality, my sexual expression, and bring it more to the forefront of what I sort of offer and contribute to the world, like artistically and otherwise. But it's also, you know, as it is, it's been something where just mentally there's been a lot of obstacles around that, and kind of conditioning around like the order of like, can I do this and still do other things, and how does this impact this? And you know, I taught yoga for many years, and I had a strong sense of sort of responsibility that I felt towards my students, people that trained with me and that worked with me, and I wanted, you know, I was just always kind of running the algorithm in my mind of like how everything could fit. And I reached a point where I think well, it's a longer story, but in sort of my surrender into my own intuition and just what actually would feel right for me, and not so much what I thought was appropriate for everybody else's perception of me. And,
Yep.
I reached this point where I was like, I need to do this for myself, if for no other reason that I need to affirm to like my mind that I'm not making decisions based on what other people think anymore. I'm making decisions based on what feels instinctively correct.
Yeah.
And this was something that every time I checked in with myself around it, it felt correct
Wow.
to kind of, you know,
Well
dive
said.
into.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
I can relate to that.
Definitely. Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a big part of it. I wasn't even really planning to go on the adult film journey until I actually was studying psychology. Like it was in my graduate psych program. It was an LGBT focused psychology program where, and I was approached at the time to do a scene for Raging Stallion. And of course I was like, no, I couldn't do that, especially if I'm going to be a therapist eventually,
Sure,
which
yeah.
was the plan at
Yeah.
the time. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized 90% of a graduate program in LGBT psychology, we talk about sex.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of was like, this would be such a cool, like almost like a flex. Like I was just like, this feels very punk rock. It feels very cool to like maybe actually really just dive in and get to the heart of,
Right.
you know, my own sexuality by just putting it way out there.
Yeah.
And it's been so interesting. And like, here I am 10 years later, and now I'm talking about it on a podcast, which I feel like kind of fulfills the mission statement that I had from the get-go, being, you know, starting while in that program.
Totally.
So I wanted to have you on here because I knew you'd have a very thoughtful approach to like getting into it. So if you don't mind, let's go back a little bit. I'd like to hear just kind of, you know, just your background about how you grew up, where you grew up, coming to terms with your own sexuality in general, and just what your experience was with adult content, like, and if it affected who you are. We'll start one by one. I know that's a lot I'm throwing at you, but like, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? What was it like being a young Rocky?
I grew up. I'm still incredibly young.
Oh,
so
well, you don't. Yeah, and you look it too.
Thank you.
Did you almost say you don't?
I corrected myself.
so funny, you don't
I
look it.
corrected.
Oh my god!
You look old.
Jeez. My co-host.
No, I'm
Deborah.
medium.
I actually don't know your age. Speaking
wonderful?
of, this is a new practice I just want to put out there. I'm no longer asking people how old are you.
What are you asking instead?
What is your age?
Oh, I am 37 years.
Oh, I wasn't
of
even
age.
really asking you.
Oh, yeah,
But
believe it.
yes, okay, 37, great. I just think it's a nice practice to ask people what is your age rather than how old are you, because then we take the word old out of it.
I'm trying to think. Recently I was out and I wish I remembered the context of it, but there was like somebody, it was like a bar, whatever. There was somebody that was like that was tipsier than I was, that was like coming, like chatting me up and like, let me guess how old you are. Let me guess. And I was like, yeah, that'll probably go well.
Yeah.
And then, and he's like, I'm gonna say
64.
43.
Wow.
I'm like 41, but next time,
Round down.
you
Go down by 5
subtract
years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5
Maybe
years. That's a good one.
Whatever you're gonna say, 5 years younger, and then I don't have to give you shit for the rest of the night about this.
Yeah, that's smart.
How many revolutions around the sun have you?
That's a good one too.
Been privy to observing
present for
this movie of reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
I was
now 37.
I was 37 years ago.
Yes.
I plopped out in Berkeley, California. I was raised in kind of half in the Bay Area, in the East Bay, Alameda, Oakland. And then when I was 9, I moved with my mom. I'm an only child, and I was raised by a single mom. We moved to the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas, a small town called Sonora, up near Yosemite. It's about like 2.5 hours directly east from the bay. My grandmother lived up there, and so we were going up there often. And my great grandmother at the time, so we were going up there often for like family trips and holidays and stuff. And yeah, my mom was wanting to. I think growing up in the Bay Area, being a single mom, she was worried, about me and not having eyes on me and having to work, and just wanted me to have an upbringing, I think, that was closer to nature and more, just safer. And so we ended up moving to Sonora. I went to middle school and high school there. I had a good upbringing.
Yeah.
I think I was restless growing up there to kind of get out and get into, the big city, or just get to a place where there was more people that looked like me. I mean, I was like the black kid in town, and I'm half. So it was, and I think certainly it was a struggle for me to kind of find, I say at the time it felt like it was a struggle to kind of like figure out who I was. But looking back, I actually had so many wonderful experiences with my friends, and I started doing theater when I was 12. There is a very solid like professional regional theater company in Sonora, so we had a lot of actors and performers coming in from the cities, a lot of queer people coming into work, and so I was able to find community there, and that was what informed like my move to LA, was to initially study acting. I moved here when I was 17.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
You moved to LA when you were 17 from Sonora.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to an acting school here, and that was I came out shortly thereafter, and I started playing music at that time. Around 1920, I decided to do a yoga teacher training, which was sort of something I found once I was living here, just as many people do, as a way of just staying grounded and staying sane, being a young person trying to figure out himself in Hollywood and enter into the industry and all that. And yeah, there's a lot more to the story, but once I kind of had music and songwriting and teaching yoga as things that really captivated and interested me, it kind of opened up the spectrum of possibility for me about places where I could live and be fulfilled creatively. And So I always kind of danced between those three endeavors, performing and songwriting and teaching.
I did call you a multi-hyphenate for a reason, for sure.
But I think that yoga was the thing for me that kind of took off the most. And, it's a practice and a discipline that requires such devotion. I mean, everything does, but it's sort of baked into the practice itself, is to really devote yourself to the sadhana, to the practice of yoga. And part of that for me, an extension of that for me, was teaching it. And I'm really grateful. I got to travel the world and teach online and live in lots of different places and connect with incredible community. And I learned so much about myself and my body and people from my years as a yoga teacher. I talk about it like it's in the past. I still am available to teach yoga. It's not like I've made a decision not to, but I think over the last couple of years, I became more interested, I think, in teaching or in leading, not so much by telling other people what to do or being a leader for others, but really dialing down into what it means to really lead myself, to take all these practices and these things that I spent so many years teaching other people and really invest in them for myself and use them to kind of navigate life. And I feel like what we're going through on this planet right now and what we're all experiencing, whether we can put words to it or not, is such tremendous change and mutation and shifts in the way that we operate that, I think like we're all being asked to really dial in very deeply to what it means to be like our most authentic self and to like listen to our own intuition above anything else. And that's kind of where the transition for me happened, from teaching others to really taking this ride of like following my own intuition and using everything that I learned to kind of empower and sustain me through this current chapter.
And are you saying this is specifically manifesting in your current content creation journey?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, I think like to be self-led, to navigate spaces where there's not sort of clear, all the things that we kind of were raised to believe about how life works, you follow these rules and you adhere to these sentiments, and you do this, you do that, and it equals this, like American dream, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that ever was true, it's certainly not true now. And I think that we all have to find our own kind of internal compass to move through life as ourselves. And I, regardless of what industry you're in, I think this is one, I found that to be very true of this kind of work. And
I've never really been able to get fully into yoga. Maybe have you?
I do yoga stretches as much as possible, but I don't do yoga classes. I always say I should, and every time I do it, I'm glad I did. But
the classes for me would always get frustrating because it was always so hot and sweaty, and they're asking you to hold as if I'm not sliding all over myself, it actually hold some kind of pose.
Right.
But maybe we should do a YouTube video where Rocky
where we do a yoga
takes us through. Yeah.
I would do that. I'd let Rocky teach me anything. Yeah. Or lead anything, rather, by example. But before we get into the avenues of how that all kind of came to be in these latter years, how did your queerness kind of come into play during these early parts of your experience? When did you kind of start realizing that part of yourself? How was it living, with a single mom, no siblings, in a kind of remote part of California?
I give my mom a lot of credit because I think she's always been in support of whatever it was that I was interested in. If she saw that something was genuinely lighting me up and I had a knack for something, or I wanted to learn more about something, she really did what she could to advantage that for me, to make that available to me. And also to kind of encourage me to be self-reliant in that. She didn't do it for me, but she kind of showed me how I could explore that. And I think, a lot of the things that I was interested in perhaps could be sort of signals that this is probably a little gay boy. It's like doing musical theater and playing dress up and
What's gay about that?
right? That was what I was saying. And I was like, you mean you're not into this?
Right.
But so I think, my first kind of exposure to the possibility that I was gay was through porn.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
But at the same time, I had girlfriends in high school, and I thought that I was in love with them. I was very passionately, like, I'm like a nerd for relationships and like human connection and like, finding yourself through the other and this whole thing. So I think I have sincerely had love for so many people, regardless of their gender. And, I didn't, it was almost like I didn't want to come out as gay until I knew for sure. And growing up in a small town, I didn't really have opportunities to experiment and to see, like, is the thing that turns me on watching it, in porn, is that actually something I'm going to actually enjoy doing?
Right.
And so, my kind of like practical mind, I was like, I'll wait, like, move to LA, and then I'll be able to experiment, and then I'll be able to see, like, what is my true sexual preference, And so I moved here and I started going out, to like Tiger Heat and what was it, Rage and like the 18 over clubs. And I had like zero game, of course, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I don't think I really even had any sexual experiences. But after like, several months of every time I was going out, it was like makeup and glitter and crop tops. I'm going to these gay clubs to like try to make something happen, to have some experience. I was like, okay, this seems to be what I'm in pursuit of. These are the experiences I'm wanting to have. And so that's probably my preference. So I came out.
What was, do you remember the first gay porn that you watched?
Or any porn, really.
Any porn? Like, what was your first exposure to it?
I'm trying to remember if I feel like all the scenes that are like etched in my mind, and I know that they're there because even now, like when I'm trying to come, like these certain scenes will just come back to me that
they're formative,
flashes.
aren't they?
So formative. Yeah. And sometimes I'm almost like, get out of here. Like I don't want, it's not what I want to like need to think about. It's like so, so formative. But I watched a lot of Falcon porn. That was definitely what I think I gravitated towards the most. Falcon and Bellamy.
Of course.
And
do you remember some names of performers?
Yeah, I loved Tom Chase as a top. I feel like he was a very passionate and
he was a Falcon top.
Mm-hmm.
When I look him up, it's not sounding familiar.
Remember.
Yeah.
No?
Tom
Shout out
Chase.
to Tom Chase.
Oh, I'll be doing research.
Yeah.
We will be
Love his stuff. Who else? Aiden. These are just, I literally just remember these names from searches.
Okay.
There was Tom Chase, Aiden Shaw.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Was it Michael Branson?
Michael Branson or
Who's
Michael
the top?
Brandon?
Maybe Brandon.
Michael Brandon was in San Francisco for like a really long time.
I want to make sure we're talking about the same person.
Maybe.
Him. Jeremy Jordan.
Jeremy Jordan.
Yeah. Tristan Paris.
Wow, you're really good with these names.
Uh-huh.
I don't know any of these guys.
You don't know Aiden Shaw? Aiden Shaw.
Nothing comes to mind.
He was one of the biggest ones, and he's actually got I think he's still fairly active as like a model right now. Not as a porn actor, but he looks very different. He's got this like super wavy, long salt and pepper hair and like a big beard, and he's doing like campaigns in like nice clothes and stuff. Like he's transitioned to a
nice clothes,
a mature model.
Legit.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other names I could comb through, but yeah, those were the guys that I would usually search for.
Yeah.
LimeWire.
So we talk about this a lot. Oh, LimeWire.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people last season would talk about Kazaa.
Yeah, yes, Kazaa, LimeWire for sure.
You had CDs
porn.
that you would burn.
Napster.
Oh
burn
yeah.
these
Well, I
things
had
to.
I had a.
Could you find porn on
a
Napster?
CD burner?
I thought Napster was only music.
No, it became. I'm pretty sure that Napster and Kazaa were like the first two that I.
Yeah, I knew
That
Kazaa
was
and
able to-
LimeWire is how I found like porn that I wanted to download, and like you know, it was Cole and I have spoken a lot on this podcast in the past about starting out watching straight porn, like that we were mostly exposed to that, but then over time, especially with like when the internet became more of a thing, that's where we found.
Well, I guess my
gay stuff.
searches were usually for the straight guy performers,
Yeah.
so I know all their names.
You know what though? I'm reminded, like the memories coming back that you're saying this. I couldn't tell you his name, but there was maybe it was something Palmer. There was a porn actor that did both. He did straight and gay porn. Yeah, and
simultaneously.
You mean Matt Ramsey, Peter North?
Well, there was definitely that. So we've talked about that a lot. Where there is a straight porn actor, Peter North, who used to do gay porn as Matt Ramsey.
Oh no, I think he did them both at the same time. I thought you meant like was he recording both scenes at the same time?
Oh no, well
that would be really impressive.
Astral projecting.
Goals. But I that might have been like the bridge for me, because I remember there was one scene that I like when I think of my days watching straight porn. I remember this scene where this woman was getting, what's the technical term for titty fucked?
Oh,
that's the technical term.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. And
breast fuck.
Yeah, a breast fornicated.
Yes, exactly.
And yeah, I think he was the top. He was the dude in the scene, and then I think I had like searched his name because I was like, oh, I like this guy's style, and then I found that he had gay porn. I was like, oh, I'll check this out, and then
did your mind melt when you found that? Because that's kind of what happened with me when I as somebody who as a young teenager was like jacking off to all these Peter North scenes like with women, to come upon as a 16, 17, 18-year-old to come upon scenes of him getting fucked in the ass by dudes in the 80s
with big dicks.
Like he, for some reason, like for being a big dick, like big coming straight porn actor, he was mostly a bottom in his gay scenes, and it just made my mind melt. Like I was just like, I can't believe this. It was like finding gold.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I kind of wish that I had seen that. I feel like that would have been actually.
I can send you the one. Well, no,
I mean in my formative years.
There's one where he's like a teacher.
Yes,
and he's like he's upset with the student, and the student fucks him like on the desk. Like on the, those desks that are all connected. What are they?
Yeah, the like the arm desk ones.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he's like, just like,
it just made it in a weird way. It made me feel like okay, that like one day it was going to be okay to come out, because like if this guy who's like a star in the straight porn world is getting fucked. Clearly, it's something he's like kind of ashamed of and doesn't really talk about now. But I mean, but at that time, it was kind of like really cool that someone who did gay porn not only transitioned to straight porn, but was like huge at it. It was like exciting. It was an exciting thing to find.
Well, I think it's always it's for me as well. Like it's cool when you have these ideas in your head of like, if you do this, you can't do this. And so when you see somebody that is a multi-hyphenate, or that is a multi-hyphenate in areas that you didn't think could cross over.
Oh, I'm all about that.
Yeah, versatile. I've been telling people lately, like I feel like, I tried to kind of figure out for years, like what's my brand? Is it like yoga and spirituality or music or now adult film? And I realized I think my brand is just versatility.
All of them.
Yeah,
that's
me.
My thing.
Like, it's up to the audience to kind of look for what the through line is, because it's just me.
Yeah.
But whatever people kind of reflect back as the thing that they see across all the different things of what I do, that's what I do.
Are you verse?
Totes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you actually?
I was just wondering.
I feel like I've only seen you topping in videos.
Well, then you haven't seen my whole catalog of videos.
Guess not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I'm a verse top.
I think that sounds accurate.
Do people like seeing you top more?
I don't know. I just ran up like a poll on my OnlyFans of what everybody's favorite collabs have been that I've done, and the ones overwhelmingly that have the highest, voting average are all the scenes where I am flip fucking.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, also that's going to be for the people that do want like to see me get fucked. Then that is going to be the more popular option.
It sounds like you're coming to terms with yourself. Before all this started, there was not a lot of shame really kind of coming into who Rocky is as a sexually active young man who likes mostly being with other men.
Yeah.
Did you have kind of a tough time coming out, a tough time coming to terms with yourself?
I don't think I've never personally felt shame. I think what I have felt is...
Must be nice.
Well, no, I don't mean... Not like ever in my life. I have certainly felt shame. But I think what I'm coming to realize is what I have felt is I am very empathic, and I feel very deeply other people's response to what I do. And so I think I definitely... even teaching yoga for many years, it was like I could feel... being somebody that was seen as being kind of nice and accessible and safe and zen and chill, like come to Rocky and he can sort of like help you feel calm and centered, like that helped me because I could feel the chaos energy around me, and I wanted everybody around me to be calm so that I could feel calm and I could feel safe. And I think for me it's part of why I went with Rocky Unleashed. Like it was sort of an affirmation to me that I'm not going to like resist or suppress my power, my sexual energy, however that manifests, not just through sex, but just through how I inhabit myself, because I'm afraid of it making waves in people's like reaction to what I'm doing that then I'll feel. So I think it was less shame. It was more a fear of like being too disruptive or too stimulating or too triggering or too whatever, like just feeling the backlash of people's response to doing it was what was more intimidating for me.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does actually.
I can be shamed. People can put ideas in my head and then I have to ask myself, like, do I believe that to be true? Because if I don't vet all the ideas that run through my head, I'm very open-minded, and you can plant some pretty shameful, terrible things in my mind that will just run on a tape. And I'm,
if somebody points something out about you that you don't like, and you're like, you could be like, oh,
or points it out as
like,
it's something that should be disliked.
Yeah.
Well, and I think with this journey in particular, like I had to get clear that my intention in everything that I do, like if I am going to be teaching anything, I do see myself as a teacher, but not in the sense of like, come to me, I'll teach you, but like how I inhabit myself and how I move through something is an example, and I want to be an example of how to love yourself and how to stay in integrity with what's correct for you, and how to be, how to be authentically you, and how to move through things, like how to move through things in integrity and in a way that's respectful to your own body and to other people. And, I think, if I was to waver from that, like that's where the shame would come in. That's where the and I think had I gotten into this any sooner, right, when I was any younger, I don't know that I would have had that kind of like inner fortitude to like know, and grace to know how to like move through something like this.
That was like I started doing porn at like 38, so like almost same age as you, and I definitely felt like, man, I'm glad I didn't do this when I was 22.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very impressed like with a lot of these young guys that are doing it that do at least seem so like self-assured, and so it takes such a boldness and a courage, and also like a transparency and openness, like a lot of the skills that we prop up as being like admirable human qualities. I think it actually really are required, to move through this in a way that's sustainable and like healthy. But I think also for me, there was talking about like being a multi-hyphenate, or this idea of like being totes verse.
in all regards.
Yeah, in all regards. I think when I was younger, there were a lot of things that I felt inside I needed to prove to myself or to the world or to others that I could do. And the fear was always, if I also do any like adult film work, or, or even just more kind of overtly share of myself as a sexual being, that will distract or take away from the ability for me to be anything else in people's minds than this. And so it wasn't that it was strategic, but I do realize like I am already those other things in people's minds. So coming into it on the other side of those things sort of creates almost like a different geometry of like how I'm stepping into this world. Because you sort of have to hold space in your mind for all, you don't have to, you can do whatever you want, but like those other parts of myself are already out. They're already on display. They're already in the public record. And so I don't feel like I have to push really hard to like prove that I'm,
do you find
more
that
than this or more than that?
Do you find that it is landing with not only your audiences and your consumers in the way that you intend, but also with some of your scene partners and co-creators? So like you're telling me that, you see yourself as kind of like, you want to lead by example. You want to kind of put yourself out there in this way, in a way that shows that, you can own your sexuality and like just who you are in these many different ways. And so now here you are, you're on camera, you're putting out content, you are showing yourself to be this sexually open being. And your approach to it is way more than I like fucking guys and I want to make money. Like there's way more to it. Is it landing to your audiences that way? Do you feel like people are responding to you in a way that's much more than, wow, hot, here's some money? Like instead they're like, love what you do, see what you're doing, see who you are, thank you for what you're teaching me about myself. And this could be for your audiences as well as the people that you work with.
They can also give me money too. Like it's not one of the.
I mean, it is. It very much is. Let's just be real about
thanks for
that.
The compliment.
Yes.
Open your wallets.
Also, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's what's been the most rewarding part of it for me.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't claim to be an example of anything. For many people, I'm an example of what not to do. I mean, people see me doing this, and I'm sure they're like the part of them that thought, I wonder if I could ever do this. Then they see me doing it, and I'm sure they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like I don't claim to like be demonstrating anything that anybody should do, other than do what feels right for you.
Right.
And if there's something that you feel you're being led to, that your mind is telling you can't do, for whatever reason, like, is it okay to do that thing? Try that thing out, whatever that is, and I think that's what is, I guess, most rewarding in terms of impact, is like people telling me that, seeing the way that I am living, or the way that I, all the different, the artistry that I attempt to bring into everything that I do, inspires them in some way to live their own life more skillfully, or like
totally.
with more richness, or like savor, whatever it is that brings them satisfaction, and to move through the shame attached with that, because there's so much shame around pleasure.
Yeah.
And even just the pleasure of being yourself.
Yes.
And so much trauma around this idea that it's not safe to be who you are, and
right.
that you need to exchange the sacrifice of your authenticity for your survival. And
come on, Adrienne Marie Brown. Have you read Pleasure Activism?
No.
Oh, I think you'd like it.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course just like everything going on in the world, and just the horrors that we have to bear witness to every day, and from our own country, that like is supposedly built upon certain morals and values, I think, that we all agree with and we all share, but then we have to watch on the world stage where like none of those values are being upheld, so then we have to be the ones to kind of hold them up.
Right.
And I feel like contextually it's like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, like if anything, I'd rather be a beacon of what it means to like savor and enjoy your life, and be respectful, and be kind and connected to yourself and others. And like, you can do that whether you're, you know, a barista or whether you're like,
Right.
like a janitor or whether you're making adult content or,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, moving out of that a little bit.
I want to talk about these design.
Oh, sure.
Wait, hold on. I still want to talk about porn though. Cuz I want to ask about like just the experience of making this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you having fun? Is it, are you realizing that it's more work than you thought? Do you have a bad day? Is it, like, what's it like? How's it filming porn? I mean, essentially you are you're having sex on camera.
Yeah, sure.
So let's talk about that part.
Please. Thanks for asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
Could that be like our spinoff? Is like, thank you so much for asking.
And then we'll get into human design.
No shame in asking.
And then we'll get into human design, and then we got to wrap up.
Thank you for taking an interest.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, sorry. What's these? You know, my friend asked me recently, like, does it ever feel awkward? Like, do you ever have like awkward moments? And I was like, I've never had a job where I've not experienced awkward moments. Like, being alive is a continuous like stream of awkward moments that you kind of try to ride gracefully. So yeah, it's been everything, like in that regard, just in terms of like, you know, I think everything that I've done, really what's underneath all of it is the human interaction and like what it means to kind of get in sync with somebody. And I really do love collaborating, you know, in all areas of life. So in terms of just the logistics of like creating content and kind of getting into sync with somebody, both like physically and then, you know, logistically and collaboratively, professionally, like for kind of, you know, however many weeks or months that you're in dialogue with that person that you just created content with, that I really enjoy. And I enjoy like being able to meet new people and make new connections. And so far I've had all pretty much positive experiences.
Great.
I mean, the only kind of negative experiences I've had have not necessarily been around the sex part of things. It's more just been like flaky people, you know, or you know, people that are not as communicative as I would like.
Sure.
Or, you know, just stuff that you experience.
Par for the course, unfortunately.
Yeah, but yeah, that's everywhere. You know, that's nothing new to this industry. But yeah, I think I have a very, like, we'll talk about human design, I guess, in a moment, but the strongest frequency in my design is in the archetype of, it's the archetype of sexuality, but it's also kind of where sustainability and like reproduction and connection, like bond making lives. It's the tribal energy. It's how life gets created, is through like deep connection. And that is something that like whenever I try to like sort of suppress or hide or deny my sexuality, it always kind of runs amok, like in the background. And you know, I'm in a phase of my life that like I think just like personally, my own kind of sexual journey that was sort of running behind the scenes, like concurrent with everything else going on in my life. I had to go through a lot of experiences, and I had to make a lot of mistakes, and I had to behave recklessly, and I had to get my heart broken, and like there's some, you know, I still have plenty more of that, but I think it's actually felt satisfying to pull that out of kind of those like shadowy realms and bring it into the forefront and harness it into like a creative offering, you know, like to use my sexual energy to create something.
Yeah.
And so I really do enjoy that aspect of it. Like I enjoy the sex, you know, but I also just enjoy like creating something.
Yeah.
With, you know, and something that, I think going back to what we were saying before, like the scenes that I create, how do I say this?
Our magic.
Well, yeah.
Obvious.
Duh.
It's like, it's giving Abra-Cadabra. No, I think like
Hocus
my younger self,
pocus.
like,
Get it?
Hoke-ass, poke-ass.
Yeah.
poke ass. My younger self, like I think it's the scenes that it's the type of content that I kind of wished I had been able to view when I was coming up, mainly because I'm in it, you know. So like, just I never saw people that look like me in porn, and even just like I don't know that I ever really saw like genuine connection and like, you know, intimacy and passion and like the kind of vibe that I strive to bring into what I create. So there is sort of this, I feel like the way my own brain is getting rewired around sex and porn and all these things, being able to bring myself into it has been, I still can't like fully speak to it because it's in process, but I enjoy that aspect of it.
That's great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, but we did say we were going to can we do a lightning round about human design? Do this in like a few minutes?
Sure.
All right.
What do you want to know about human design?
I want to know if it
You're like,
what's wrong with me.
Yeah, what are these? So we have two charts. Rocky had us ahead of time. We got these. So this one is mine, and then we have one for Cole. What can you give us in 3 minutes about any of this?
Well, I'll share that, human design was something that I found about
Yes.
2 or 3 years ago around a time where I was going through kind of a lot of personal transition. And what I sort of got out of design at that time was a very profound, like a depth of feeling kind of seen and understood in the way that, and language, I guess, around how I've always felt energetically that I've never fully been able to understand. And what you usually find when you look at someone's design is that the things that you tend to think are wrong with you are the things that you've been conditioned to think are problematic in terms of how you're supposed to function as a human being, like the ways you've been homogenized to kind of work in opposition to how you're actually designed. So human design is something I'm trained in. It's something that I use a lot, in my like coaching practice. But it's sort of a permission slip. It's a permission slip to relax into how it is you actually are designed to function, and to just give you a certain level of kind of relief that like actually there's nothing wrong with you, but there are ways that you've been conditioned out of what's correct for you, and that process of discovering who it is you actually are versus who you think you're supposed to be or who you've been told you're supposed to be is a journey. And it's very much that journey that led me into the work that I'm doing now. So What we all have in common, what I will say, like all three of us are there's 5 energetic types in human design. All three of us are the generator type.
Nice.
I believe that, Cole, you are a manifesting generator, which just adds like another layer of energy flow. Manifesting generators have a bit more of a multitasking, kind of fast-moving pace in terms of how they co-create. But all three of us have the same what's called inner authority. So one of the goals with human design is to connect you with your own intuition and the way it is that you are sort of designed to make decisions that are correct for you. Generators can very easily be conditioned people pleasers because we have this defined sacral motor that is sort of the motor that's responsible for life force energy. And the sacral motor operates when it's in flow with the frequency or the emotion of satisfaction, kind of designed to be guided by satisfaction. And when the sacral motor gets jammed up, we interpret that as frustration. And frustration, usually means that we need to pause, or like we're trying to force ourselves to do something that isn't right for us. Or we've been conditioned to think it's not appropriate to wait, to just kind of chill and let life come to us. So the strategy for the generator type is really to get comfortable waiting and to trust that our aura, our energy field actually draws things to us for us to respond to. Generators are designed to operate with life through response. And the way that you can sort of discern what you have available energy for based on your response is through listening to your sacral sounds, which all of us make. The most obvious example is aha and So, you can go into like the chart specifics and everything that it says. It's sort of nice to be kind of read from your chart. It's like, oh wow, that is me. But how you actually live your design is really through implementing what's called strategy and authority. So for all of us, it's, wait, not just kind of sit around and do nothing necessarily, but like wait for your body to kind of be compelled towards something and trust that. And if something if something's presenting itself to you that inside is sort of like, that doesn't feel right for me, trust that, so it's simple. But at the same time, you realize when you start to really surrender into that, how conditioned you are to say yes to things that really your body's saying no to, how to force things into being because you've been told that your value is connected to your productivity, even when the timing really isn't right. But I mean, that's why I'm here. You asked, are you available to come be on our podcast? And it was, and
yeah, unfortunately, we've got to wrap up. You have given us a lot to think about now. I'm definitely going to look into this, how to read this chart myself.
Oh, I'll read it for you.
Yeah, read it for us. We can post it on our Instagram. In the meantime, why don't you tell our audience where else they could find you? I see your X is Rocky Unleashed with an _, your Instagram.
Yeah, just take note of the placement of the underscores. But my work I can be found at Rocky Unleashed, OnlyFans, Twitter, and Instagram, and probably other places too.
Probably,
yeah. I'm findable.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure that everyone can find you. And thank you so much for joining us today. I know it was kind of...
This was a dream come true.
Yeah, thank you. You're the
for
best.
Asking me some really interesting questions and for giving me a chance to share.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Now we're going to film together.
Yes, please.
Because you and at least you and I can't speak for Cole, but you and I have been building this tension for a long ass time. And
doesn't that make it even better?
Yes, but I'm still ready. Because now it's going to burst.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I haven't.
I want to burst. Mm-hmm. Do you want to wait any longer?
Do it right here. Clear.
No.
I haven't asked you in a while, so I'll ask again.
Yes, we're gonna promote it with the release of this episode.
You can ask me anytime, and you'll get an honest, sacred response.
Sorry for asking.
Never.
Thank you so much, Rocky, for joining us. Thank you, Dakota, for being patient. Thank you all for listening. I'm Adam Ramsey.
I'm Cole Connor.
And this has been Sorry for Asking. This has been Sorry for Asking. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay sexy.